Hello, and welcome to this Spotlight video, where we're having a look at the Mandate of Heaven DLC, with a focus on Yellow Turbans. I'm joined by Simon, who's a senior designer on this DLC. So let's jump straight in to the gameplay. So of course, I'm going to quickly get rid of that. We've got the Yellow Turbans, who we're going to focus on today. You'll see three familiar faces just here. But to the left of those, we've got the three new characters, the Zhang brothers.
Yeah, so one thing we always really wanted to do is to kind of go back in time a bit to the Yellow Turban Rebellion, which is one of the kind of catalysts of the Three Kingdoms period, you could say. And we really wanted to kind of do that period, but to do that we had to bring the Zhang brothers in. So here are the three Zhang brothers. Zhang Jue himself was a kind of healer from Julu Commandery. He was very well known as someone who cared for the people and really wanted to kind of ease their suffering, right? He saw the Han government as being kind of corrupt and really wanted to kind of shift that out of the way, so he kind of rose up in a popular rebellion in 184. What we've decided to do is kind of move the time back a little bit to 182, so you're actually at the point where the rebellion's almost just beginning, and you're actually starting to build this rebellion yourself, and you get that period of building up, not just starting kind of in media res, as it were.
So let's have a look at where they start on the campaign. Of course, feel free to pause the video if you want to have a look at this in a bit more detail. So yeah, we've got Zhang Jue here. He starts up to the top, and of course, one of the new features of this faction is Zeal. Yeah,
so Zeal is a Yellow Turban mechanic, only for the Yellow Turbans, and it's actually shared between all three of the Yellow Turban factions, the three brothers. It is something that they all feed into. So actually they're all feeding into the same value, and they're actually all kind of removing from the same value at the same time, and as it goes up they gain specific bonuses, some shared, some specific to their faction, but also they all have their own ways of feeding into it. So you feed into it by fighting battles, capturing settlements, but then each of the brothers has their own specific extra way of adding to this. So Zhang Jue as a healer, he actually gains it from the casualties. He's healing the people and actually gaining more zeal from doing that.
And I'm going to quickly pause over these just so you can have a little... I'm going to pause over these so you can pause the video if you want to and have a little quick look at some of the details, because we're not going to dig into those today. We're just going to look at the kind of faction and how it works. So next we'll go to Zhang Liang.
So he's probably going to be the hardest of the Yellow Turbans to play. He starts right next to all of the major Han settlements. You can see there Liu Qi, Liu Bei, the Emperor, Liu Chong. They're all right by him, and his role in the Yellow Turban Rebellion is to basically hold back the tide of these Han factions who are going to be coming to kind of chop your head off, basically. So he's really good at defending, and that's where all his bonuses lie. Like, by defending, he will get better at doing that thing. So he'll continue to improve his defense as he raises zeal from fighting defensive battles.
Cool. And then we've got Zhang Bao as the final of the three brothers.
Yeah, so he's kind of the opposite of Zhang Liang. He's very much about aggression and attacking. He'll be probably gaining the most zeal, like in most of the campaigns, because by attacking, he's doing what the Yellow Turbans do best, which is expanding and staying alive. But as he attacks, he will actually gain more zeal, and even if he loses those battles, he'll actually still gain more zeal from it. But once again, he'll gain bonuses to attacking from that. So kind of by doing the thing, he'll get better at it. So it's all about kind of increasing speed and rhythm and moving forwards and actually kind of increasing your growth, as it were, and your rate of expansion.
Yeah, it's awesome. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on to Zhang Jue, and we're going to jump onto the campaign map and have a look at some of these features in a bit more detail.
So one of the other things we've added a lot of new factions and a lot of new gameplay mechanics. So we've added the new faction breakdown. So this is all about kind of introducing you to the faction that you're now going to be playing and kind of introducing you to their kind of core gameplay mechanics. So as you'll see here, it's discussion of zeal, how zeal works. It shows once again that it's shared between the three brothers. We have fervor, which I think we'll go into in a bit more detail in a little bit. Reforms as well, so every Yellow Turban faction now, the three Yellow Turban brothers now have their new reforms tree, like unique to them, that no one else has. And also a highlight that, the Yellow Turban Rebellion is coming, right? Like, in a set number of turns, in 184 AD, the Han are going to come for you, right? They're going to attack you, and you've got to win, basically.
And get ready for that as well in these early turns. And in those early turns, you've got some decisions to make based on some missions. But to get those, we need to just quickly get through this initial battle and take that first settlement.
So you'll see here as well, actually, that you're going to be gaining zeal from winning the battles. As we said, it's all about kind of decisive action. It's about fighting battles and capturing settlements to increase your zeal.
I'm just skipping through those, by the way. You're not missing much in that. It's, you know, the normal stuff you would have seen before. with some flavor text in there, of course. But don't worry. Feel free to pause the video at any point if you feel like you're missing out any detail. And of course, we're going to get some zeal here as well.
So that's your battle zeal, but then actually your occupations will also give you more zeal as well.
And then we've got our choice for occupy and aid wounded as well.
Yeah, so this is kind of feeding into the kind of alacrity of the Yellow Turbans, that they're constantly moving forward, that when they conquer settlements, they can gain 100 faction support if they choose to. That means that they don't need to spend time re-establishing control of that settlement, because it's instantly supporting the Yellow Turban Rebellion. So they can actually kind of capture a settlement and then begin moving forwards into a new space.
Yeah, so we'll obviously choose that option just there. And then now we've done that, the Mandate of Heaven.
So, as I said earlier, like, kind of it's all about you're starting before the actual rebellion happens, and we're giving you the time to almost kind of carve your own rebellion out, right? You're creating your own space, and you're making your own decisions as to how that rebellion's going to be when the war begins. With this in mind, we actually gave you a variety of missions which fire. So this is the kind of herald that the missions are going to come in, as it were. So you'll see here you've got the 4 missions. Now, each of them is different objectives, different rewards, and you'll be very unlikely to complete all of them before the war actually begins. So you're going to have to pick and choose which ones you want to do. It's almost kind of a create your own objectives system.
Yeah, it's really cool. So the first one we've got here is to gain powerful equipment for the Yellow Turbans, which is an ancillary or like a weapon.
Yes, I believe that's a weapon for Zhang Jue.
Okay, awesome. The second one is some extra buffs to kind of really help for 20 turns as well, to really help your expansion.
Yeah, this is a really big bonus to get, but also this applies to both of your brothers as well. So if you get this, you're actually helping out Zhang Biao and Zhang Liang at the same time.
Yeah, it's awesome. So don't forget that when you're taking in which mission to choose consideration, because I know this is what I'd go for immediately.
I think a lot of people would. So when the rebellion occurs, Yellow Turban kind of factions will spawn all around the map, like all across China. This rebellion will raise. One of the things you can do is He Yi will spawn as a faction. He usually spawns near to Yuan Shu, but in this case, you can actually have him join you instead and become one of your loyal generals.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the final one is gold, because of course we all need gold.
Always gold.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to quickly clear some of these notifications, and then let's have a look at fervor.
Yep, so fervor's another new mechanic which is unique to the Yellow Turbans. So fervor is the support of the people within each settlement of the map, and every settlement in the game, every county, has a fervor value from 0 to 100. And it's raised from your armies, it's raised from characters, buildings. Your zeal, in fact, will actually have a kind of overarching effect on all of your counties in the game. The Han are able to counter this through buildings and their own characters. But your main thing you want to be doing is kind of spreading it, and that's spread mainly by your forces. So Yellow Turban forces in neighbouring regions will spread this fervor into those neighbouring regions, and eventually causing public order rebellions.
Yeah, which is awesome. So you don't even have to fight battles if you don't want to. You can just your mere presence.
I think you'll have to fight some, but yeah, like you can actually see it spreading. Like when we've been doing kind of auto runs and stuff, like running through all the turns, you can see this kind of spread of Yellow Turban fervor as it kind of reaches all across the map.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then of course we've got our zeal bar up here, which, as you said, is shared between the 3 brothers. And as you can also see, as I hover down, if you start losing faction support, you can really get yourself into some trouble. Obviously, we start really with a full zeal bar, because that the rebellion is new, it's fresh, everyone's behind it. But yeah, if you start losing support, you could find yourself in real trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the worst of which is probably the public order issues, right?
Yeah.
Like when your public order goes low as a Yellow Turban, Han rebellions will start to spawn in your land. So you know, as a faction who's all about expanding fast, constantly fighting and winning battles, having to then turn inwards to kind of deal with internal problems, of course, is a very tough thing to do. So you need to keep stoking the fires of your rebellion, and even though it's decaying, everything you do, every battle you fight, every settlement you capture is going to help it grow and keep it high. So as a player, you really want to keep it as high as you possibly can.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally, we'll have a look at the reform tree, which obviously is down there because we can do that, but you can also find it up here. And yeah, do you want to kind of explain left to right what we've got here?
Yeah, so we've broken it up into 4 broad categories in this new reforms tree. So the first category is domestic. So it's all things like your building income, it's going to be food production, buildings that increase your income from various sources, kind of your higher tier buildings all live in here as well. The second chain is all about characters, so things like character satisfaction, administrator positions, like recruit levels, things like that. It's all about kind of keeping your your warriors happy, like your kind of rebels, keeping them kind of satisfied. The third chain is all about your units. So as you go through this chain, you'll be unlocking more and more powerful units, including the multiple block crossbow, which is a new unit that we've added this game.
Big fan.
And as you get to the top of this tree, you'll start to gain your elite units. Your elite units are literally there to kill the units of the Han. They're one of the few things that can counter the Imperial Army's units. So the Imperial Army, very strong force, almost undefeatable in some regards. These units are actually specifically built to counter specific units in the Imperial Army. So you really want to get up to there as quickly as you can.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen the Imperial Army yet, it's actually in our Let's Play, and I'll put a link just up here so you can click on that and have a look at the Let's Play, which shows them.
Then the final chain is logistics. So logistics is all about how your armies move along the map, how far they can move. So this will be affecting things like supplies, movement speed, mustering time, and also this is how you unlock your deployables. So you're kind of boiling oil, things like that. That's where this all comes from in here.
Yeah, awesome. And don't worry, this does blossom, this tree. Beautiful. Beautiful as always. Well, yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Simon, of course, for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you in the next video.